Astrology at New Moons. I'm Josie the Mustang, the afro-latina goddess of witches, the ethereal pop alchemist, and you're aligned with the frequency of the luanovapodcast. And I am coming at you very sleepy. I don't know if it was last week's episode or the week before that, but I was also very sleepy when I recorded that because I hadn't had enough rest. In this case, it's more weather related and also planetary, and I'll get more into that in today's episode, since we are asking Aries to put the door back that they decided to kick down. Aries is fiery. It is the epitome of a fire sign and bravery. They are the leader of the zodiac. They literally begin the zodiac. So this is heavy Aries energy today. And if I was doing a collective reading, I would be channeling their fiery energy. And fun fact, there's actually not much Aries in my chart. I don't think there's any, actually. And I know they say that all 12 zodiac signs are always in your birth chart. Yes and no. It can be in there, but it's not necessarily a prevalent part of it. So in my chart, not at all. Not at all. I actually have quite a bit of water in my birth chart, but I am a Virgo sun, for those of you that are new. Speaking of new listeners, I hear you, but I need to discuss some things with you really quickly before we get into the 7 planets that decided to light a match and let Aries take those matches and just burn everything down. I need to start off with the fact that I've been reading tarot for over 17 years, but I am nothing like what a lot of you come across on social media. There are real tarot readers on social media. If you're familiar with Tyler's Tarot, then you know what I'm talking about. He was actually one of the first tarot readers I ever came across that encouraged me, whether he knows it or not, to pick up my tarot and read for other people and not just learn tarot on my own. So Tyler's Tarot Tyler is one of the real deals. He really is a real tarot reader. And there was another woman, and I hope I get her name right. I know her name is Jamie. She is, I believe, African American, and she has she used to have blonde hair, like platinum blonde hair. And I know her name's Jamie. Man, I wish I could remember the rest of her account and all that. I used to watch her a million years ago on YouTube. But she is also the real deal when it comes to tarot. And when it comes to tarot, it's an actual gift. Anybody can read tarot, but the gift of tarot is a completely different thing. Therefore, since I do have a lot of listeners, I need to make something clear. I do not read tarot like you see for instance, on TikTok. You'll notice most of them just jump right into the tarot. They don't care about what energy they're bringing in. They don't care about what energy they're putting out. They're not asking for your permission to read your tarot. They just jump right in. And a lot of their messages are, what is a nice way to put this? Generic? There's a difference between collective and generic. A collective message that I'm channeling means that I'm picking up on several energies. And many of you might have the same energy based on your zodiac, based on your birth chart, based on the energy of that week, the energy of the planets, etc. You get what I mean? So that's where I'm able to pick up on a collective message versus a generic message. A generic message is, you're going to have good news this week. Well, there's 7 days in a week, so the odds of you having some sort of good news are pretty high. You know, good news could mean, hey, let's get pizza. That's good news to you because you like pizza. You know what I mean? So I don't do those type of tarot readings. So I want to make that clear for those of you who are not familiar, that there are some of us who are the real deal. And it's also why you don't see us doing collective readings on social media very often. Okay? Because we know that we're the real deal and that people try to steal our style of how we read, etc. And there are some real readers that I've come across on TikTok. There's one lady, she has a heavy Southern accent. She's hilarious. And I don't remember her name off the top of my head. She's a white woman. She has brunette hair. And she oftentimes is saying, let's see what your dusty ex has to say, things like that. She is hilarious, but she's also the real deal. So you can tell it's an energy that I think us real readers give off. The next thing I want to talk to you all about is being a devotee of Aphrodite. For my listeners that are not new, you know that I have been and always will be a devotee of Santa Muerte, who is the saint of death. She is my spiritual mother. I love her very much, and she will always be at the forefront of my spirit team, right next to Josie. And hold on, really? Hold on, guys. Of course I get interrupted. One second. Well, as I was saying, I have been a devotee of Santa Muerte for many years now. I believe now it's, close to 10 years, something like that. And she's been with me my whole life. Now that I'm an adult, I understand the times that she has come to me. For instance, if you see a white owl or an owl of any sort, and it doesn't really make sense that it's where it's at, that is her. That is her, a sign of hers. Okay? Don't be afraid. But, and I'm not encouraging anybody to work with deities. You do whatever you want, so long as you don't push your beliefs on anybody else, okay? So, I say all that to say that working with the Saint of Death is special. It's important. You learn a lot about the world and how most people fear things that they shouldn't when you work with Santissima, okay? And my Santissima altar is actually very beautiful. I have a pink altar. I do not show my altars because I'm an old school witch. I don't believe in ever showing my altars. And they're sacred to me. That's the equivalent to me of showing you my organs. Why would I do that? So her altar is not what you commonly see for Santa, where a lot of the time you see her altars as being very dark, lots of black, lots of maybe black and red. Mine is pink. I always have roses for her. She typically prefers colorful roses, but, based on your own practices, you might be channeling a different side of her, because we all have different facets. So do deities, okay? And she has perfume. It is such a beautiful altar, but I say all of that to say that I never really expected to permanently work with any other deities. My ancestry as being half Afro-Brazilian and half Mexican-American means that there's a lot of culture within me and a lot of practices that aren't necessarily my practices. For instance, my Afro-Brazilian ancestry, from what I know of them, since they didn't raise me, many of them were children of Oshun. If you are not familiar with Oshun, she is an Orisha. So think of the African pantheon that is similar but not the same to Greek mythology. Okay? And I say all of that to say that she is a deity that I heavily revere, Oshun, but not one that I work with, because you do have to be initiated to work with Oshun. But I guess you could say that likely that would be my Orisha, but more on that another day, okay? But I heavily respect those practices as well. Obviously, they are a part of my own lineage, but not necessarily my own. So when I began to learn more and more about Aphrodite, it was coming from a place of just learning, because I've always learned about different deities and their background, and none of them I ever really necessarily connected with like I do with Santa Muerte. But I did connect with Aphrodite because I thought, well, she makes a lot of sense in my life in general, not only as someone who started off as a love witch, but also somebody who is heavily associated with being a glamour witch. Now, I don't fall under one category when it comes to my own witchcraft. I fall under several. But the more and more that I connected with Aphrodite, the more that it made sense that she would be the other permanent deity in my life. And so now she has her own altar in my home, and it is so, oh my God, what a beautiful altar. Right now she has lavender roses, and I love roses in general. Even if I never worked with deities, I would have roses everywhere, just because, again, I'm kind of a glamour witch. I say kind of because, like I said, I don't fall under one category. So I will be telling you a message that I channeled based on my own meditation with working with Aphrodite, and that will be close to the end of today's episode. The next thing I want to cover before we get into Aries energy is I want to talk to you about codes of manifestation. You're going to hear one more codes of manifestation today, and then that segment is ending permanently. Well, at least for now. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say permanently. It's ending. I don't know if I'll ever bring it back. And it has a lot to do with your feedback. Most of you, when I put out a message on Patreon and social media on, do you guys care about codes of manifestation, or do you prefer text from the universe? It was collective. It was 99% of we like text from the universe. Really couldn't care less about codes of manifestation, though. It's almost like you just needed a break. So you just threw that in there. And I think so. Now, the new segment where we dance and you all get to dance to my music, that's going to stay. In fact, that is a permanent segment, okay? But codes of manifestation, if you want me to get rid of it and it's not really that important, I'm getting rid of it. Now, if I begin to get a lot of feedback saying, actually, we'd really like for you to bring that back, then I will. The next thing I want to talk to you about, speaking of updates to Lua Nova, is Court of the New Moon. Court of the New Moon will be ending at the end of this season because there are other ventures for Lua Nova that I want to explore. And Court of the New Moon is a lot of fun to do, but it does actually take a ton of work. And because I already have this podcast, pouring into another podcast is not really ideal. Also, I want to be able to just answer your questions that aren't necessarily related to Court of the New Moon without you all feeling like you have to submit a case to do that. Because I'm noticing more and more that that's what we're getting as opposed to just questions. So I want you all to be able to ask your questions openly and not feel like, well, what if my case never gets picked? You know what I mean? So we're going to go back to you just being able to send in your questions and I answer them. Remember the 6th house Virgo segment? Yeah. I do a lot of different ideas for the show and then I keep whatever sticks. You know, if you've been with me since the beginning of Lua Nova, then you know this. I like to see what works. If it doesn't work, then I don't bring it back. Okay. And I think most shows do this, but because I'm a creative person, I like to explore different ideas to see what resonates with you, what helps you manifest. Because this whole podcast is about helping you manifest the life that you want, right? So we will see in the future what else works and what doesn't. Or we might just keep it to the structure that it is right now, which I think actually really works for my schedule, which is, I teach you about manifestation or I talk to you about astrology, etc. And then the next week you get your collective reading, okay? Text from the universe will stay. It is now a permanent segment. Also, I have a song called Text from the Universe, so that makes sense. And the dance break will remain as well, okay? So you will get one more codes of manifestation, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I was talking about in just a moment. So, one second, new moons.
Lua Nova Codes of Manifestation. Códigos de manifestação da Lua Nova.
Since this is the last codes of manifestation for Lua Nova, at least for a while, I will leave you with this one, code 151. Sometimes the universe will show you proof that it does all work out. In my case, it was in the form of 2 birds, 2 beautiful birds, and I can't remember the type of birds that they are, but I'll look that up and put it in the recording somewhere. And they built a nest. The nest is pretty much done. The mother is ready to lay her eggs, and everything worked out. Because the universe likes to show us proof. All you gotta do is ask. So in the last codes of manifestation, code 151, I mentioned birds. Well, yes, there are birds that have decided to create a nest right outside of my bedroom window. And I love it. It makes me feel loved. It makes me feel like that is a nod from my own spirit team, especially because where it's located at is very close to both of my altars. Okay. So I have one big main altar, which Santa is right in the middle of. She's right next to Hoshi. And that altar kind of encompasses all of my spirituality. And then my other altar is for Aphrodite. So Santa essentially has her own altar with Hoshi, and then the other altar is for Aphrodite. So they're next to each other, but they are separate. Okay. And it's going to remain that way. I can pretty much tell you that when it comes to working with Santa Muerte, she has no problem with you having a loved one that has passed next to her, considering that she is quite literally the saint of death. So she understands that, okay? Especially sweet little doggies like Hoshi, okay? But let's talk about today's fiery energy, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm exhausted from this energy, but we're going to talk a little bit more about that for those of us who are feeling that way. So there are 7 planets currently in the sign of Aries. Keep in mind that you're going to be hearing this after some of them have transitioned into other signs, etc. But at the time of this recording, which is April the 14th, Aries decided, I want to be everywhere all at once. And I want to light matches. And I want to bring in fire horse energy. And that's okay. That's okay. We're going to work with that. And also the new moon is in Aries. Now, Aries, as I said, is the leader of the zodiac. When you look at the zodiac wheel, they begin the zodiac and Pisces ends the zodiac. Okay. So there are 12 signs total. Aries is known for their bravery. Keep in mind, anytime I talk about a sun sign, I'm referring to a healed version of that sign, not the unhealed version. Okay. And for those of you again who are new, I'm a Virgo sun. So I'm not just, big upping Aries because that's my sign. No, it's not. It's actually not at all. And not only are they known for their bravery, they are known for their fiery temper. They're known for being really good at finishing their goals. I worded that weird, but they're known for getting their goals done. Okay. Not in the way that us Virgos and Capricorns do. They're a little more chaotic about how they go about it, but it works, and it works for them, and it always has, and it always will. And I've never met an Aries that wasn't successful in whatever it is that they chose to do. They just are. And everything from the Aries in my life that is a successful housewife that ended up with the happy marriage and the big family, that's what she wanted, that's what she got. And she didn't work hard for it either. She just was like, I said it, so it is. And from another family member of mine who successfully just lived a quiet, peaceful life and is still doing so to this day. That's what she wanted, that's what she got. And I love that. I love that. So let's tune more into this. Let's align more with this. So Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is all about action, courage, and forward motion. But this is also the year of the fire horse. So, according to the Chinese, traditions, right? So, because it is also the year of the fire horse, this is about, I'm going to just figure it out after I start. So, and where I as a Virgo prefer to plan out my goals, prefer to plan out what I want to do, Aries is like, yeah, that's cute. That you could have the plan, but let's just do it. I don't want to keep talking about it, Virgo, Capricorn. I just want to do it. Why are you earth signs like this? Why do you have to plan everything to death? Be more like your Taurus earth sign friend and just do it. Because Taurus is actually more likely to just start. Whereas Virgo and Capricorn, we have to think about every aspect of it first. Okay? We are the earth after all. We have to think about how does this affect everybody collectively. So Aries is saying, we're not waiting anymore. We're not waiting until you're ready. We're not over perfecting your plan, Virgo. It's time to move, Capricorn. It's time to move because energy responds and then the path will reveal itself later. And very much so, me and people like me are like, what? What do you mean it'll reveal itself later? I don't know how I feel about that. But you know who else is pushing that type of energy? Aphrodite. So Aphrodite devotees, this is also important for us. And I having a Libra stellium, that aligns well with me, but more on that another day. So here is your current manifestation strategy since 7 planets are in Aries at the time of this recording. Aries doesn't do maybes. It doesn't do I hope. And that's something that I very much so resonate with as a witch, because when it comes to witchcraft, it's not I hope this works. This is it works. That's it. Why do you think every single song of mine and every single spell of mine ends with, and so it is? Because I'm not asking. I'm saying, this is it. This is mine. I'm going for it. And that is big Aries energy too. Okay? So I want you to try something like this. Those of you who really currently hate your job, this is strictly an example for you. Instead of saying, I want a better job, it is more of the energy of, I'm stepping into a new job that not only values me, but pays me better. And I'm going to keep aligning with that fiery energy until it happens. Because it's going to happen. And say it like you already lit the match for it. Okay? Whenever you blow out your birthday candles, do you worry really about the birthday wish not happening? Which, by the way, that's a spell that you're doing. No, you don't. You lit the match. You said your wish to yourself or out loud, depending on what you want to do. And then that's it. You blew out the candles. And if a witch tells you, typically new witches tell you, don't blow out your birthday candles. Yes, you can. Because when you blow out a candle, you're spreading the energy, you're allowing the chaos. When you don't, like when we're doing spell work and we don't actually blow out the candles, you are containing the energy. And that's okay too. Depends on what you want to do. Alright? So, this is immediate. This is, in fact, uncomfortable for a lot of people who are like me. If it doesn't feel scary though, that means that you're not doing it right. Alright? So an example would be for those of you who I just said, maybe you hate your job. And you apply for a new job, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't know if I'm really qualified for this new job. Who cares? Do it anyway. And for those of you who come to me and say that you also want to start a podcast, it's time for you to actually do it and stop talking about it. Okay? Post that podcast. Do it. You're worried because only 5 people tune in this week. Okay? And everybody is not being pushed by a machine, whether that's in music or any other form of media. And so you have to just light the match. Honestly, I don't know another way to put that. Keep in mind that Aries energy rewards bravery. So this is why this is a good time to start this, especially with the new moon coming up, okay? And I want you to think of short term, not long term. This is more of a sprint. This is not a marathon. So try 20 to 30 minutes of your day focusing on quick decisions and perfect execution. In other words, let's say that you're new to the gym. And in your comfort zone, you're walking on the treadmill. Well, today I want you to go pick up the weights. No one said you needed to lift the 100 pounds, but it's time for you to stop nursing your wounds over on the treadmill because you're worried that somebody's going to say something to you. No, they're not. If they're in the gym for the right reasons, then they don't even know you're there. Okay? So that is the energy that we are going to be stepping into. I want you to channel that Aries fiery frustration into fuel, and especially you, Aries. This is who this is for. Aries can bring irritation, sometimes anger, and definitely they're impatient. They can be very much so impatient. And this is something that I also see a lot with Taurus. So instead of spiraling, I want you to use it to propel you forward. I want you to let it sharpen your focus. Think, good. This means that I actually care enough to make some moves in my life. This means that I care enough to stop being friends with that irritating person that I've known since 10th grade because I don't actually like her. This means that it's time for me to apply to other jobs instead of just talking about it and complaining about it. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, New Moons, 1 second.
Mueve la colita, New Moons! This is the Sacral Chakra segment, a brief musical interlude designed to heal your nervous system. The following track is an original work written, produced, composed, and partially performed by Josie the Mustang. All rights reserved. Let's dance!
God is more activated, aligned, magnetic. Look up at the clock and it's 11:11. If good luck is coming, the number ends in 7. 333 saying, baby, it's all in your favor. 444 is calling you to be braver. Angel numbers are signs from spirit. The blessings are flowing in, I know you feel it. Pay attention to the numbers you see. Every number has a message, every digit is a key. Two, two, two says miracles are near. One, one, one couldn't even be more clear. Angel numbers everywhere on repeat. Tap into your intuition and the story will complete. Angel numbers are signs from spirit. The blessings are flowing in, I know you feel it. Pay attention to the numbers you see. Every number has a message, every digit is a key. Two, two, two says miracles are near. One, one, one couldn't even be more clear. Angel numbers everywhere on repeat. Tap into your intuition and the story will complete. Two, two, two says miracles are near. One, one, one couldn't even be more clear. Angel numbers everywhere on repeat. Tap into your intuition and the story will complete. And so it is. And so it
And the song that you just heard was Angel Numbers. It is on my debut album, Ethereal Pop Alchemist, which is available on Spotify, Apple Music, and all major music platforms. And that was actually the Reflection Break remix of Angel Numbers. It's actually the version of it that I prefer, but it wasn't the original version. Fun fact. But you can listen to Angel Numbers and all of the other tracks from Ethereal Pop Alchemist wherever you listen to music at, okay? But let's get back to the show. And and I always have to say this just because the amount of times I get asked this is wild. The song Angel Numbers, as well as every other song on the Ethereal Pop Alchemist album, were written by me, produced by me, composed by me. I created the melodies. I use vocal cloning for the vocals, which is why there's different variations of my own vocals in the music. And that's it. And there will be my next project coming up for you in June, and I'll talk more about that in another episode. So I want to get back to what we were talking about. Aries taking over the whole planet. So the whole solar system. The whole planets. Oh my goodness. And, oh, you know what, guys? Did I not tell you about oh my God. I got interrupted. And I started to tell you about the birds that are outside of my window. I told you a little bit about them, but I didn't go in depth. So they're about to lay their eggs and everything. And they are eastern bluebirds. That's what I meant to tell you, because I just saw one of them fly around. And so that is spiritually a really good message. If you have birds that are creating a nest near you, that not only do they feel safe around you, but that's a good sign from your spirit team that blessings are coming. Okay. Especially during this time of the year in the U.S. where it is the springtime. Okay. So it's time for new beginnings, etc. And with that being said, I have some collective messages that I channeled. First being for all 12 zodiac signs, and the next being from Aphrodite. Okay. So keep in mind that when you are channeling with a deity, you cannot channel all deities. They don't all work the same way, and that the message may just be straight to the point. For instance, when I channel and meditate and talk to Santa Muerte, it is very different than if I'm channeling and talking to Aphrodite. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Every deity is different, just like we are. All right. And if it's a closed practice, leave that deity alone. Now, working with Aphrodite is not a closed practice, so you can if you feel so called to. But starting off with the collective messages that I have for all 12 zodiac signs, we're going to start with the star of the show, Aries. Aries, I need you to be unapologetically first. You're already the first, right? You're already the beginning. So it is time for you to be comfortable being the main character, because oftentimes many of you are not. When it comes to the fire signs, it's almost like you will see Leo being the main character and think, well, I'm too busy over here doing this. I'll let them be the main character. Well, Leo, it's not your time yet. It is, it's time for Aries to step into that. Okay. So I need you to start moving more like the main character right now, especially because this energy is to your advantage more than any other sign. And those of you who have heavy Aries placements in your birth chart, I'm talking to you too. Okay. So if you're an Aries moon, if you're an Aries rising, if you have an Aries stellium, or just a lot of Aries in your birth chart, I'm talking to you. Okay. Next, Taurus. Taurus, you're up next. And because you are up next, things are brewing for you behind the scenes. I need you to let go of that heavy energy that you've been hanging on to. Many of you have. And it's time for that next manifestation to come in. But in order to do that, you have got to remove this darker energy that you've been carrying with you. Okay. Gemini, I really feel like I shouldn't have to tell you this, but unfortunately some of you I do have to say this to. It's time for you to speak up and be seen. Okay. Remember when Kendrick Lamar just wowed all of us and said, this is everything I need to say to you right now. That is the energy that you need to take on. Okay. Way less Donald Trump, way less Kanye West, way more Kendrick Lamar. Okay. Got it? Get what I'm saying? Because that conversation that you have can shift everything in your favor for the good, for the greater good. Okay. So be for the greater good. Don't be like the other Geminis. This is why your sign is not so well liked, is that there are too many Geminis that lean on the negative side of their sign. Don't be like that. Cancer. It's time for you to make some bold career moves. And I don't feel like that's difficult for a Cancer whatsoever. My mother is a Cancer sun, moon, and rising. She also has mainly Cancer in her birth chart. So I grew up seeing this. And it's time for you to take a leap of faith that is very much so public. Now that makes Cancers uncomfortable. Keep in mind though that the collective energy here is being uncomfortable. So with all due respect to all zodiac signs, I don't care that you're uncomfortable, because in order for you to manifest what it is that you want, you gotta be comfortable being uncomfortable for a little bit. Okay. So Cancer, take that leap of faith and do something that makes you more visible. All right. Leo, this one's easy for you. Look at the bigger picture. I need you to look beyond just yourself though. Look at the bigger picture and dream way beyond what your comfort zone is. Now you're used to being the center of attention. Many Leos are the center of attention without even trying. But oftentimes that leads you to only think of you. And how does this affect me? How does this affect my greater good? And it doesn't mean that you don't care about other people. It doesn't mean that all of you are narcissists. It means that inherently Leo is used to being like the sun, and where everything revolves around you and not the other way around. But sometimes, Leo, you have got to look at how things revolve around other people. Okay? Because that will actually help you manifest. All right? So, by the way, your future self is not going to be where you're located right now. Your future self needs to step out of your current comfort zone and move. And those who get what I mean by that, you get what I mean by that. Virgo, you're not going to like this, but I got to say it. It's time for us to transform. And you're like, oh God, leave me alone. Nope, I'm not. This is actually a deep shift for us, because yes, we're the planners. We're not only are we the planners of the zodiac, we're the teachers of the zodiac. We want to help everybody, right? It's time for you to help you. It is time for you to help you. It is time for you to let things be. And there are areas of your life, there are chapters of your life that have already closed, and they had to in order for you to get this upgrade that's coming to you. Okay? Libra. Now, Libra, you are ruled by Venus. Now, who is Venus? Who is Venus, class? That's right. Venus is the Roman archetype of the goddess of love, Aphrodite, the Greek archetype. So what does the goddess of love rule over besides love? Beauty. And so Libra, you always are drawn to beauty in your life in all areas. But because you are associated with the scales, oftentimes you care a little too much about everything being at peace in order for you to feel balanced. Let's stop that for now. Okay. Let's stop worrying about how it affects other people. I need this to be this way so that I can feel okay. You're going to feel okay no matter what. Because it is time for you to put yourself first sometimes. Stop negotiating. You don't negotiate. You are literally ruled by Venus. You don't negotiate. So tap into that goddess power. Okay. And I'm sorry, I literally wrote all this down in a notebook, so you're going to hear the pages turning. I promise I'm prepared. Scorpio, it is so time for you to get way more disciplined than you have been. And consistent. But you know what you're not going to like that I'm going to say to you? It's time to dial back that intensity, because that intensity is actually not helping you manifest. It's helping people shift away from you. It's helping people side-eye you. But that intensity is not necessary yet. Now, when it is your season, then we can talk. But it's not your season right now. Aries is intense enough. You don't need to add to it. Okay? Next up, Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius, the channel message that I have for you is very straight to the point, and you're going to really enjoy this one. I want you to have more fun. Because there's too many of you that decided somewhere along the way, well, I need to be more serious. Yeah, that works. Sure. We do have to be serious in some areas of our life, right? But see, Sagittarius, what people love about you is that you are the fun sign in all of the zodiac. And somewhere along the way, many of you decided to just put that fire out on yourself. No. Aries is lighting that match again and saying, we are fire signs. Act like it. Do what excites you. No extras. That's it. Capricorn, you're not going to enjoy this one, Earth sign. It's time for you to tap into your emotions, because you're typically uncomfortable with that. It is not uncommon for Capricorn to be more logical, but Aries is saying, that's cool. I like that you're logical, but how do you feel about all of these, logical ideas and plans that you have? How do you actually feel about it? And Capricorn, you were like, I don't want to, we don't do that. What do you mean? I'm an Earth sign. We don't do that. Only Taurus is allowed to really show emotion. Well, it's time for you to show some emotion, Capricorn. Aquarius, I want you to say what it is that you want out loud. And I want you to speak boldly about it. You don't have to be rude, but say it out loud, because that's a spell. Say it out loud. You know my song, Cast the Spell? Listen to that. Listen to the lyrics. Pay attention, because that's for you. Okay? Pisces, you are so valued. You don't know that you are, because you don't treat yourself like you are, but you are valued. So I want you to go where you are valued. Whether that means you got to change jobs, change relationships, change period. Change your clothes. You are valued, and raise your standards. Okay? So those are the messages that I have right now for this Aries energy. And take what resonates with you. Okay? Keep in mind that I'm referring to sun signs. So if I mention like Aries, if I mention other areas of your birth chart, then that means I'm talking to more than just your sun sign. Since it is Aries season, I was referring to way more than just people that are an Aries sun. Okay? And to wrap things up today, here are the messages that I wrote down, and I'm actually going to post this on TikTok too if you want to see it. But keep in mind that when it comes to working with Aphrodite, that these are the types of messages that she's going to give all the time. And so, and that, yes, she is the goddess of love and beauty and all things beautiful and all things love, but she's also the goddess of war. So keep that in mind. So during this Aries heavy season, and I'm literally reading word for word what I wrote. This is not soft girl energy. This is you tapping into what you truly desire. So that's the first message that I have for you. Okay. From Goddess Aphrodite. The second message is that it's time to not be so passive about what it is that you want. Not if it comes, then so be it, but it will happen, and I'll take the steps necessary to make sure of it. Okay, and if you want to add in an "and so it is" right there, then feel free. The next message I have for you. Love yourself enough to know that you're worth defending. Expect devotion. No settling, no crumbs. Keep your standards high. Now that is always going to be a message that you get from Aphrodite. Okay. Not just during Aries season, all the time. The next message, express what you want and expect it. You could tell that I was writing quickly when I wrote. The next one. I'm sorry, let me go over that last one more time. Express what you want and expect it. Okay? The next message, avoid chasing distractions. Not everything and everyone deserves your time. Then, and these, I numbered them because they came out as almost like bullet points. The first one, be soft, but dangerous. The second one, be loving, but selective. Third one, be magnetic. I like to say magnetic, but unattainable. And the fourth one, be irresistible, but you're not fragile. All right, new moons. Those are the channel messages that I have for you. Oh, we got a text from Spirit. And this week's text from Spirit says, text from the universe. I forgot it has been renamed. Okay, so this card fell. So this is definitely it. 999, release. Endings are new beginnings in disguise. An ending symbolizes the closure of one door and the opening of another. The whisper is reminding you to release and allow. It is in the release where the magic happens. And the affirmation here says, doors open for me where others have closed, bringing transformation to my mind, my body, and my soul. And since this card fell out with it, this card says, come on, really? You hear it sticking together? You gotta be kidding me. Well, new moons, I promise there's a message here that I'm supposed to be giving you. 555, change. Change happens outside of your comfort zone. The time for change is now. The angels are whispering for you to trust your path and learn how to walk in it. Take the next step. Allow change to lift you up and guide you forward. And the affirmation says, I release all that no longer serves me as I am guided to move outside of my comfort zone and let change in. You know what I love about the universe and how it works is that it works with you. It's not set up to work against you. So anytime that I'm like, yep, well, what's the text from the universe this week? It's like, oh, here you go. Here's the exact message that you were just talking about. We heard you. We wanted the collective to hear exactly what you were just talking about. So that is your message for the week, new moons. And with all of that being said, you know how this goes. Obrigada, new moons, for aligning with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. If you would like to submit a question, if you want to know more about Lua Nova, me, or you want to hear my music, since I do that now. And by the way, for new listeners to the show, all of my music is related to manifestation. All of it. Okay. I don't write music outside of that. Even if it sounds like it's a song that's not really about manifesting, it is. I promise. Okay. I have a song coming up in my summer release called, Falling in Love in June. And it sounds like it's not about manifestation. It is. It's about manifesting love in the summer. But if you want to send in your questions, if you want to request that we send you the full disclaimer on spiritual consent and listener responsibility, visit luanovapodcast.net. Also, Court of the New Moon is a spinoff of Lua Nova, and it will be available all of season 4. So season 5, I am going to be putting Court of the New Moon away for a while. I'm going to be taking my judge robe off and putting that away and my gavel. But for the time being, you can still submit your case to courtofthenewmoon.com. My team goes over your cases. They select one, and I have not selected one with them for this month, but send me a good one because I want a really good one for this month. And if you would like more content, which I'll be honest with you, I haven't been updating very much of, but I will, because they always get the content that none of you ever even hear or see. You can go to patreon.com /the Luanova podcast. And I want to thank those of you who support me and the team via Venmo and Cash App. You are not obligated ever to send me money unless, of course, I do a personal tarot reading with you, which you all know by now that right now I'm not taking any personal tarot readings, but that is the only time I expect you to pay me. Outside of that, this podcast is free. Listening to my music can be free depending on where you listen to my music at. That's up to you. That's your choice. But if you want to contribute, you can via Venmo. My username on Venmo is @Luanova, or Cash App. The username on Cash App is $Luanovapodcast. Copyright 2025, Luanova, all rights reserved. Sometimes I say that, sometimes I don't, but it's in the show notes. All right. As well as my mini disclaimer is also in the show notes. All right, new moons. What did we learn, Aries? What did we learn? This is your season. Happy birthday to all of you who are in Aries. Taurus, you are up next. And I don't typically say happy birthday to every single sign. And many of you think that my favorite sign gets all of the praise and joy, Virgo. Well, duh, of course it does. But I'm going to try, I can't promise you anything, to talk more about the rest of the zodiac, especially with the Luanova Zodiac Island series coming back. Okay. But for the time being, I will talk to you next week, new moons. Have a safe rest of your week. Be kind to those around you, because you never know when their time is up in this realm. And I say that based on what I've seen happen after my aunt recently passed away. And I've heard some terrible things about, well, she said this and she did that. I want you all to know something. My aunt was a uber Christian. She was the type of Christian that I talk about on this show. That is not my favorite type of person, but you know what? I loved her and looked up to her and still look up to her. And nothing that she did in this realm deserved the type of ending that she had. Okay? So if you don't get that, then you really don't get me. And you don't really get enlightenment and what your highest self really is. Because your highest self understands that people are who they are. And whatever lessons that they're supposed to learn are theirs to learn, not yours. You don't get to put people in a heaven or hell. You don't get to decide those things. And that includes me saying this to my aunt. But you don't get to. Also, I don't believe in heaven or hell. But you don't get to decide those things. Okay? Therefore, let's just treat people and meet them where they're at. All right? Treat people the way that you expect to be treated. We learned that in kindergarten. And even if you think to yourself, well, this person said this and they were overly conservative, and there are oftentimes people that unfortunately have been indoctrinated into religion and they're very lost, and how they think has nothing to do with how you think. Okay? Now, I'm definitely not going to tell you to turn the other cheek and allow people to be disrespectful to you, because that's not a thing. I'm not Jesus. I'm not going to tell you to do that. I mean, those of you who believe in Jesus and you walk with Jesus, you might think that, but I don't. So I'm not going to tell you that, but I am going to tell you that it does not serve you to hang on to the bitterness and the anger and the same hate that those people spew to you. It doesn't. You want to manifest a good life? Focus on you. Focus on your loved ones. Focus on the people that care. And that's it. All right, new moons. I'll talk to you next week. Ciao, ciao. And as I'm editing my show, I realize that there's one area that I forgot to include. So here you go. For those of us that feel energetic overload during this time, you're in shutdown mode. So with this much Aries and fire and and the entire solar system, it's not uncommon for your system, your nervous system, the way that you think, etc., to say, this is actually a lot. So think of like a laptop or anything like that that's being overheated. You could possibly be in that stage too. And so your nervous system may, like mine, be choosing, hey, I need to rest. I need to slow down. okay, so that I don't have a meltdown, okay? And so for those of us that are feeling more like that rather than that this is an action period, it's for a reason. Because before there's a big burst of action in your life, sometimes your body is going to force you to rest, okay? Think of it as, for instance, whenever you see somebody pulling a slingshot, okay? The stillness is not in the inactivity, it's the preparation for your forward movement, okay? So the emotional burnout as well. Aries rules raw emotion and instincts, okay? So if anything has been building under the surface in any area of your life, but especially personal relationships, your body might be processing it through fatigue instead of outward expression. So rest means it's time to release all of that before you can have that forward momentum. And also your personal chart might be taking a hit. Of course, I mentioned that this is Aries being the main character. Aries is fine being the main character. It prefers to kind of be maybe sometimes, a background character, depending on the situation. But in this case, those of you who are an Aries sun, or you have a lot of Aries in your chart, this also might be a time for you to rest as well. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be loud or that your energy is loud, okay? But it does have a lot to do with how much fire is in your birth chart. All right. So those of you who have a lot of fire in your birth chart, meaning Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo, you might be integrating identity shifts. You might subconsciously be reevaluating your direction, or you're shedding old versions of yourself. Therefore, that is exhausting. And you might feel like, right now I need to just be quiet and take a moment to myself. All right. So what you're going to do instead of fighting that is you're going to lean into that intentional rest. Remember, you can't manifest if you're not resting. That's not how manifestation works. All right. The universe only responds to frequency. So if you have a frequency of burnout, it doesn't work well with that. So this isn't you scrolling for hours and hours and hours on social media. This is purposeful recharging, such as laying down with music or silence, meditation, journaling, such as paying attention to those half sleep thoughts that you have when you first wake up or when you're going to sleep, or even taking a nap without feeling guilty about it. All right. All right, new moons. I just wanted to make sure that I included that in today's episode. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up again. I don't know if this is going to be at the very end or this is going to go before the outro. So just in case, I'm going to say obrigada, and then I will talk to you next week. Be kind to yourself and especially to other people, and watch your mouth right now. All right, new moons. Ciao, ciao.